I remember getting to a spot where I was like, I can't do this anymore. Whatever path I'm on is not it.
I had no idea there was women and kids walking 4 and 5 hours every single day to get something that I have coming right out of the tap that I've never thought twice about. Had no idea, no clue. I had no clue the number one killer of children, the number one reason why a child, even today, is not gonna make it to the age of 5 was because of dirty water.
Less than 10 years ago, Doc was tending bar and playing music in nightclubs until a trip to Sudan changed his life.
I couldn't sleep one night. I'm rolling around in my bed, kind of tossing and turning, and I had the phrase that you see on the screen up there, wine to water, in my head over and over. And I just started entering in stuff about water. I dealt with wine every day at my job, so I'm like, maybe I need to know something about water. And what filled that computer screen up that night is what altered the course of my life. The first thing I saw was some report by the United Nations that said 1.1 billion people in the world don't have access to clean water. When I realized that stuff, that water coming out of that well, was potentially more dangerous than the bullets whizzing by their ears every day, it changed everything for me. And at that moment, I knew I would never do anything else but this.
I always felt I was too imperfect. I was too flawed of an individual. I always felt less than everybody else. And when the opportunity came to start Wine to Water, I was shocked. It was the first thing I was ever a part of that worked.
Basically, they said, you know, we've had enough of our women and children being killed and raped, so we're going to fight back. And those areas were constant conflict areas, and so they were considered too dangerous for any United Nations personnel to be in. And because of that, they didn't receive any aid at all. And so I chose to go in those areas to do my work.
I'm not some doctorate level person with all these degrees and born with a silver spoon in my mouth or anything. I'm just a regular guy. I'm still very imperfect. I'm still very flawed. I still sometimes feel like I don't got my act together. We're all imperfect. We're all flawed, but somehow we all balance each other out. The areas where I'm very weak, there'll be somebody else that comes alongside at the perfect time. And that's how we've grown organically as a team, as a community, as a unit. We invite people to be a part of that.
You know, I always had this voice in my head, I felt like that just said, you're nobody. You're not good enough. Who do you think you are? I think you can do something about this. I think it was the first time I just decided I'm gonna shut that voice off, and I'm gonna try. I know a lot of you out there probably look at yourself as just normal. But the world tells us you can't be just a normal person that has a day job and decides, you know what, on the side, I want to serve my community. I'm living, eating, sleeping, drinking proof that you don't have to be a movie star or a politician or the CEO of one of the world's largest companies to do great things. But a lot of us are afraid to take that first step for some reason. And it's probably because a lot of us were made to feel like we really won't have that much of an impact. I promise you that you can have an absolutely amazing impact on the world around you if you just take that first step. Just before I was about to leave, I lost one of my men. The government found out he was working with me, and they pulled him off the bus and they put him face down and they shot him in the head. The whole time I'm doing this, I'm thinking that this was my fault. You know, I made the choice for myself to do this work knowing I was putting my life at risk, but I also made the choice for Ismail as well, and he didn't make it. I have to be honest, I was getting ready to throw it all up in the air and quit and say, I didn't sign up for this. There's gonna come times in life where we just don't want to do it anymore. But if you have people around you, to me, that's when the potential for success happens. That's when it's the most important. And a lot of people think, gosh, when you get there, the people must just be devastated. The Syria, you see the images on the news of these kids, a bomb is just blown off and they're dusty and bloody and they must just be miserable. When I go to these hard areas, war-torn areas, this is what I see everywhere.
A lot of people kind of pat us on the back. Y'all been able to help these people and do all this and teach them all these things, and that's not what's happening here. These people have given me and taught me infinitely more about life that I could ever give or teach them. The gift they give me and our team is infinitely greater than just this water filter that we're able to give them.
It's about something much deeper than any well we could ever dig.
And you'd see these guys, they're always hardcore, and he'd be like, he'd smile and say, Nam, shukran, jizera, thank you very much, come. And before we knew it, we're off in the truck and we're getting ready to slaughter a goat and have a good time, and I'm meeting his wife and his kids, and it was great, and I realized that's all it took.
Life is about the people that are in it, that make it worth living. Just that simple act of sitting down and sharing a meal and sleeping in their village, showing them that I would be willing to stay with them where they are, allowed me to gain their trust.
I think we do that a lot of times even here in our own jobs, that we see people as numbers. But I think too much we're always focused on that end outcome instead of just realizing that the people we work with every day are human beings. I think if we treat them that way and build relationships with them, then that end outcome comes anyway. My sister was 2 years older than me. She couldn't pronounce Dixon, so she called me Dick Doc. So for a while there, I was called Dick Doc, and somewhere along the way, they dropped the Dick, they left the Doc, and that's how I got Doc. These are the faces that I see and remember. Who had nothing, and that they're so content and happy with life. I hope that y'all could see that this life is so much more than just the day-to-day grind and the bottom line, but it's all about the people that make life worth living.
And I'm sure the city of Asheville's probably awesome and green, but to prove, we poured 2 of those actually. You didn't see the first one. 2 of those in the top here. Here's to being a nobody.